Hello and welcome back to another of my episodes of PS Crafty DIY. Let's take a look how I installed a USB charger with a 12V socket into my top box, and while I was at it, I've added an LED strip, integrating a taillight and a brake light. My bike is still under warranty and I'm not a big fan of cutting into existing harnesses, hence I've done my wiring in a way so that it can be removed anytime if needed. You can still easily remove the top box from the bike and take it with you with no problem, of course. Stay tuned if you want to find out how I've done it. First task is to find out the suitable location for a connector that will be bringing the power to the top box. I'm placing mine here as there isn't much space from underneath the box. Measure up and make a template. The connector I'm using is a 4-pin SP21. It's waterproof, panel mount, and it's rated for high current, which is what I need to charge my drone. The cutout for mounting it needs to be around 21mm. I need to allow some room below the hole for the fixing nut and the thickness of the top box bottom plate. Once that has been settled, I can simply outline where the hole for the connector needs to be and stick my template onto the top box. This is to ensure the hole is going to be nice and center. Better to be safe than sorry, I guess. Using the step drill, drilling the hole to only 20mm for now, as the connector has two flat spots measuring only 20mm across. I'll use a hand file to accommodate that, then take the rest to 21mm using my cheap rotary tool kit. If you'd like to see my review of this kit, just follow the link at the top. Now that the damage is done, the template can go and I can try if my connector fits nice and snug. Next step is to install a motorcycle charging lead with the SAE connector. They do serve a dual purpose. One is to charge the battery without having to remove both seats, and the other is to deliver 12V DC to my top box. It comes with an inline fuse holder and a fuse. Installation is simple. Using the color-coded ring terminals provided, fit straight onto the battery and tidy up the cable underneath the existing installation. I can now pop the seat back on and verify the voltage present at the SAE connector, but more importantly, the polarity. The exposed pin that could easily short onto the chassis of the bike should be negative, of course. Next, I need to find a connector which delivers the taillight and the brake light signal to the back of my motorcycle. In my case, it's this 3-pin Sumimoto connector. Using my meter, I'll identify the wire functions. The blue wire is for the taillight, the yellow wire is for the brake light, and the black is common negative for both. I need to tap into these two signals and lead them to the top box for the LED strip, but I can't just cut or crimp into them, so I got the exact same connector from eBay and I'll make my own harness that will just simply plug in. For my 12V DC, I'll use another SAE lead, and for the two signals it's best to use the same colored wires as the factory. All 4 wires will be soldered into the SP21 connector, but before I do that, I'll fit a bit of nylon braiding over them. This is to keep the harness tidy and give the wires a bit of protection. Simply cut the nylon braid to size, and to stop the splitting, meld the ends with a lighter, then I fit a heat shrink over them. 2 short pieces to cover the braid and 1 long one for the 2 signal wires. Slip it all on and shrink the tubing in place using the heat gun. The connector end will be done after the soldering, so I'll just use a bit of tape for now to keep the braid away from heat. So I'm ready for soldering. The connector buckets are numbered, and it's best to write the pinout down so the other end of the connector inside the top box is wired the same. I've decided on the following pinout. Pin number 1 as positive, pin number 2 negative common to all, pin number 3 blue wire tail light, and pin number 4 yellow wire brake light. Now I can remove the tape, shrink the final piece of tubing and assemble the connector, making sure the connector seal at the back is mated with the heat shrink. Moving on to making the link that fits in between the existing harness. I've cut 3 wires of the same factory colors to a length, and because I don't have a crimp tool, I'll solder these crimps on. Then bend the tabs on with the long nose pliers. Now I'll make a window in the yellow and the blue wire so I can join them with my harness. These are just soldered on. Cover them in tubing and shrink that in place. What I forgot is to put the sleeves on, but luckily I'm able to stretch them over. Next step is to fit the heat shrink that will tidy these wires up and then I can solder the rest of the pins onto the other side of my link. Now I can fit the crimps into the connector. The pinout is exactly the same as the one on the bike. Just copy and paste yellow, blue, black. Slip the sleeves inside nice and tight, shrink the tubing over, and I can assemble the other connector in the same fashion. Right, we are done with the harness, so let's plug it in and test. Ignition on, taillight comes on. Press the brake, brake light comes on. All good on the hood. So let's tuck it in nicely under the seat. Moving on to a top box 12V power with a USB charger. For that I got this unit from eBay. It's got an isolation switch and a display showing the battery voltage, which is really handy. But the supply cable seems to be a bit thin, so I've decided to change it since I'm doing all this to be able to charge my drone on the go. This unit is meant to be fitted on a steering bar, as you can see. Fitting it onto a flat surface reliably is a bit of a challenge. So I've cut these two pieces of perspex on a bandsaw, which will solve the problem. Bit of double-sided tape and 2 screws will secure the plate on. For the edging I've used just the black tape. I'll cut the supply cable to size, fit a nylon braid over it, and secure it in place with a heat shrink. Now I'm going to install the LED strip. To gain access under the red plastic on the top box, I need to remove these 5 screws. There we go, it comes off. The LED strip is going to be placed here. I got mine from Amazon. But hang on, it looks like it comes with indicators as well, as it has got 5 wires. Well, that's a bonus. Let's pop it in using a hot glue and test. I'll just use my charging lead installed previously. Tail light, brake light, and here we go, indicators too. Shame my SP21 connector is only 4-pin, which means I can't really accommodate them. But you know what, I might get a 6-pin connector in the future, so I might as well stick to extra wires in my harness now. But you don't have to. Just with the 3 wires needed for the tail and the brake light. Right, let's solder these on. I want my joints to be hidden under the red plastic, so I've cut the LED strip supply cable short. The wire functions on the LED strip are as following. Black is negative, so I use my black too. White is for tail light, so I use my blue. Red is for brake light, so I use my yellow. Green is the left indicator, and the yellow is the right indicator. And for those I'll use my spare black wires Mark 2 and 3. Slip on some tubing, nylon braid, and now I can drill a hole for the cable to pass inside the top box. Feed the cable through and seal around the heat shrink with hot glue to make it watertight. Now I can put it all back together and cut my cable to size. Cover the end with the heat shrink. The black negative wire needs to join with the negative supply for the USB charger, so let me make a window here and make the joint. Small piece of tubing covers the joint. A large piece will join the 2 cables together. It will also hide the spare wires for indicators. Now I need to cut all the wires to size, slip on the connector fixing nut and feed the cable through the hole in the top box. Time to solder the wires into the connector, following the same pinout as earlier. Pin number 1 as positive, pin number 2 negative common to all, pin number 3 blue wire tail light, and pin number 4 yellow wire brake light. Isolate the exposed wire with heat shrink. Hide the spares and shrink the large tubing over the lot for cleaner look. Right, feed it all back into the top box and secure the connector in place with a nut. The harness can be fitted using tie wraps and plastic bases. And the USB charger box then can be mounted with the help of GoPro sticky pads. That's it, now I can test it. Plug the connector in and I should be able to power the charger up off the switch. Well, that works. Now with the ignition on, daylight comes on, and when I press a brake light comes on. Success! Now if you found this video helpful, please like, share or subscribe, as it will help me create more.